Talking with famous people.
Hi, I'm host Eric, and I'm the host of Talking with Famous People. And I'm going to implement bad idea number one. I was driving over and I was like, in the car, I was like, hey, you know what I should do? I said to myself, I should read some of my poetry on Talking with Famous People. And I was like, immediately my brain was like, Eric, that's a fucking terrible idea. Why would you want to do that? Nobody wants to hear somebody read poetry on YouTube. Here I go. First poem is called Fantastic Poem Number 1. Wizards wage their wars with magic. Drivers honk bloodlust in traffic. Clausen battled on with Vlasic. Giraffes, though, only act giraffic. Media is often graphic. Windy days require chapstick. Women sometimes may be sapphic. But still, this poem is fantastic. Poem number 2. This one's called Horse Abortionists. 100 horse abortionists compete against contortionists to grab stuff and apportion it to sort the poor from fortunates. Success, though, brings extortionists who grab the horse abortionists that outgrabbed all contortionists, a fellow named Sir Morton Schist. You know how an extortionist will twist an arm to torture it? They do so to Sir Morton Schist. Too bad he's no contortionist. Poem number 3. This is maybe my favorite poem of all time that I've ever written. I mean, for mine, you know. Don't point at me that wagging ought. Those seem to turn to rules a lot, which then you aim at other folk. They oughtn't to drink or curse or smoke. Well, oughtn't you, not ought it me? If any ought is plain to see, it ought to be one oughtn't ought, so ought away, I guess. Or not. It's called Oughtn't Fest. I'm basically moving forward in time from older poems to newer. Next poem number 4. Sometimes I feel like words are an infestation of bugs. They squirm all around me, and they are beautiful and complex, and also they are irritating as hell and impossible to get rid of. It's not a very good poem. I don't like it, but I put it there anyway because I want to show you that I have various poems, various types, I guess, or something. This poem here is not really a poem. I call it prosody. Text begins with a short sentence. The second is terse as well. Even a third can work if built of 2 phrases. A fourth shorty, if interrupted, isn't out of the question. But only the ill-informed, the self-indulgent, and those writing telegrams compel a fifth quick duck to quack its place in this line. And, timing being everything, the prudent use that fifth sentence, or even better, the one just after it, to conclude the narrative. Boom, huh? That's pretty rad. I like that. It's super meta, right? Okay, now we're going to go to this little video thing I got here, and we'll see how this works out. And it's called Probably Avoid the Tea. Firstly, Danger smiled. Next, he yelled surprise. I mustn't seek again from him good cheer, nor doubt the wisdom of the mighty wise, whose words, like tea, are simple, sharp, and clear. Leader, speak again of risk that lies unseen and threatens me in future years. Alarm! Come fight my urge to improvise. Wait, urge bloodlessly surrenders, it appears. For stasis, then, a self-made sacrifice. And reinforced now, certainty blocks fear. To obviate a breach was worth the price, if doubts walled out, and I'm walled safe in here. Okay, so that poem uses a old-fashioned conceit of referring to abstract notions with a capital letter as though they were people, so to speak. And the next one's called When Dead and Dull. This is the last of the old poems, I think. Here I am then dead and dull, and not at all, like men I was, men productive, and unlikely to find adequate some such unimaginative work as this. Okay. So that was the end of my first creative period in my life. It was that poem right there, basically. This poem is called When to Sit. We each must spend our early years sublearning how to just become those endless other written ones, which others then themselves becoming once rendered into agent affect, and most assuredly asserting identity were deemed the most correct. And then we are our mates and peers, those fleshy models emulated, reactive cues as consecrated, first then desecrated, reduced in ways we never intended, expecting slack to follow, in keeping with goodwill, for others to put up with the directing, and hoping no one sees that you're a shill. Then decades hence we finally pull free our legs from youthful mud, release the lies of self-reduction, escape the dictates and conditions, and learn to give ourselves permission to fail and still to trust ourselves a bit, to know we know, implicit to contention, exactly when to stand and when to sit. Okay. Yeah. Not a very good poem. Let's do this serious poem now. This is a political poem. I never write politics poems. I usually write silly stuff. But anyway, this is a politics poem. Here we go. To persist, free people need killers. We've already bloodied hands. Are they unbloodyable by death that keeps us? We've already picked and eaten the national fruits, sun-ripened in blood. We've cheered a team, we've gotten a B, or quarreled over parking, and a million other non-things during an endless domestic peacetime made possible by the slaying of other men. The blood has filled the warehouse, as though the warehouse were a front yard swimming pool. The blood is so ubiquitous, it's not there. Except when someone hangs a sign, then people freak out, afire with indignation, frantic with concern, or just drawn to significance, and shake fingers. The droplets thereby flung comprise the brownish red mist that fills up the room. But then, of course, to persist, free people need killers. Okay, hi. I don't normally write serious poetry, or certainly I don't normally write political poetry. This is both. It's called Free People. To persist, free people need killers. We've already bloody hands. Are they unbloodyable by death that keeps us? We've already picked and eaten the national fruits, sun-ripened in blood. We've cheered a team, we've gotten a B, or quarreled over parking, and a million other no things, during an endless domestic peacetime made possible by the slaying of other men. The blood has filled the warehouse, as though the warehouse were a front yard swimming pool. The blood is so ubiquitous it's not there, except when someone hangs a sign. Then people freak out, afire with indignation, frantic with concern, or just drawn to significance, and shake fingers, though droplets thereby flung comprise the brownish red mist that fills up the room. But then, of course, to persist, free people need killers. Yeah, not bad. I'm pretty happy with that one. Let's see what we got next. We got line 10. This is a recent poem. This is post-divorce, this poem here. And so here we go. Line 10. To whom do I report? Candace is no longer my partner in life. Kimball is no longer my partner in business. I'm the official adult on duty. Autonomy, I believe they call it. It's okay. All is well. But with whom do I log the points of shared interest? Where is the common ledger, the belly flutters, flash of terror, wash of sadness? Assess, reset, nothing to fear, plenty to do, all is well. Then this needful task, or that fun, done? Go to line 10. Okay, this next poem is called Francis and the Dents. This is one of my kids' poems. Hopefully you like it. There was a girl named Frances Goss who knew what lived between her teeth, who was obsessed with dental floss, who queried then her brother Keith, if teeth left unattended bore some little creatures who would build a hut or two, a general store, a barber's shop, a chandler's guild, a stable with a smithy near, until the motor car replaces a ballroom with a chandelier where they would go to dance their paces. Her brother indicated yes, and told her they were called the Dents. He warned his sister, don't forget that Dents would squat and pay no rents. These creatures were a nasty bunch who trod inside with mud on shoes, who got in food fights every lunch, who loudly voiced offensive views. But Keith, again, as now before, made Frances roll her eyes a bit. She knew already so much more than he about these fabled Dents. In truth, she'd known when she'd asked. She'd learned of them from Puckertart. Yet she showed fear, though quite relaxed, that Brother Keith might feel smart. These dents sound dangerous indeed, said Frances to the older Keith. I'll turn to you when next I need advice about my lovely teeth. But Frances's dents long ago had bended to her management, and long since learned how to forego the sloppiness and damaging. In fact, she'd put dents into groups and sent them out as work for hire. They'd passed out flyers, jumped through hoops, and worked for years, and then retired. And Frances kept inside her mouth, behind her second bottom molar, an old folks' home, built facing south, and powered green, with only solar. Which brings us back to dental floss, the way that Frances kept things clean, and stopped her dents from getting cross, and thus became their royal queen. The end. So that's one of my kids' poems. I have another kids' poem I'm going to do in a separate video because it's a little bit longer. It's called Potato Men. I made a song out of that one. Anyway, thanks for watching Talking with Famous People. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed Eric's #1 bad idea. Let's read poetry on Talking with Famous People. That's a good idea.
Talking with famous people.